Let's see. Well, I was going to talk about two things that seemingly are unrelated, but I think that they're related. So, you know the company Jane Bakes. There was a woman in Pearl River who set up a bakery cafe, I think 5-6 years ago, and her gluten-free and healthy cookies really took off. And she's been running this Pearl River Cafe for a long time, and she's really built a following. So much so that she needed manufacturing space. And she said that she looked around for over a year, and she couldn't find anything suitable in Rockland County. And so now she's taking manufacturing space in a new complex excuse me, up in Poughkeepsie called I-84. It's the former IBM campus. Actually, it's not Poughkeepsie. It's Fishkill. And she's taking 6,000 square feet of space up there. And in what I call a Christmas carol, her name is Jane Carroll, she's actually handing off her business to an employee chef who's worked for her for many years. She's just giving him her business, which I think is just a very nice Christmas kind of story. But the real story is that when it came to looking for manufacturing space, she just felt that she couldn't find anything suitable in terms of a space that had character or a space that was near enough to a highway. And so, here essentially we're losing a Rockland business to Dutchess County. So we have a story about that up online from last week. Now, that's interesting because the other thing that happened last week is that you know what the CFAs are? Those are the grants that the state gives out for economic development.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and those were announced last week. And Rockland, it seems like Rockland didn't do as well as maybe some other places. Or Hudson Valley was not one of the leading grant. They got less than some of the other areas or regions of New York seem to get more love in general. But that said, who did get a lot of help in Rockland were a handful of our manufacturers who are in an expansion mode. And those include Instrumentation Laboratory in Orangeburg with 2 grants totaling nearly $3 million to expand manufacturing and technology center by 30%, as well as $320,000 for a company called Guardian Booth, and $550,000 to a company called Riviera Produce Corporation for renovations, as well as nearly $2 million to a company called Vitain Pharmaceuticals, which is over in Congers. So it's interesting to see, where the manufacturing sector is thriving, and was the recipient of grants in Rockland, whereas, when you have somebody like Jane Carroll, what she said was, it's in the story, was she was looking for a space that had character, a place where she could open up a cafe retail element to her manufacturing site. And, I guess, again, in Rockland, what she found were just warehouses that had no character, no charm. She said that, the exception to that might have been Garnerville, but that's the sort of place, the art center, but that's the sort of place where you can't really easily get, deliveries, she felt, large trucks, and that it wasn't close enough to a highway. So, it's just kind of an interesting contrast. But, I think it's important to keep our manufacturing sector going because, as you know, we've talked over and over again about the strain on retail, and so we're really looking in Rockland at alternative ways of keeping the economy pumping, and we do have the space And it's interesting to hear, what one small business owner in a major state of expansion, what her perspective was. So, do you know her place, Jane Bakes, the cafe bakery in Pearl River?
No, I don't. And Jeff is in the other room right now recording something, but I don't. But it's funny though. You say about space. We have the space, but we also have the exorbitant high rents that go along with it, which is, as far as I am concerned, one of the main reasons why this space isn't all filled up.
Well, that's what she also said that. She said that she was priced out of Rockland, and that she went up to Dutchess County, and that the rent there was a fraction of what it would have been in Rockland. She said that they worked with her on the build out, that they gave her all kinds of freedom to build out the space as she saw fit. And she said she also mentioned how even the utilities were a fraction of what she would have spent in Rockland. So I think I don't know who or how we control those forces, but I think it's important to listen to what that kind of a perspective, because in particular, one of the most dynamic industries right now is the food and beverage industry.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Schulman likes to talk about that. In all the meetings that I see him at, he likes to talk about food and beverage. And that is the hot topic everywhere, countrywide, and in New York, too. If you look through the list of who was awarded these CFAs last week, so many of them were food and beverage makers, who are really driving the economies, especially upstate New York, and hospitality. So this is what Rockland needs to tune into. It needs to figure out how to do this well, because it's it really, this I-84. There's a comparable one. This is a company that does this kind of rehabilitation also nationwide, and they've got one of these over in Yonkers called, I think it's I-Hudson, and it's it's very attractive to manufacturers. I-Park 84 is the one in Fishkill, I-Park 84, and they have I'm trying to remember how many. I think that it's about 30% filled. And they've got about 5 or 6 food manufacturers there, including City Winery. So, these food hubs, I know Jeremy talks about it all the time. I think, part of the key to making these work is you need a space like maybe something that's on the IRG campus, the former Pfizer campus. You need something that's got that's kind of like a holistic way to attract a food hub, so that they're congregated in the same place. And I mean, even Jane Bakes, she's not only talking about manufacturing up there for the 300 stores that she's in, but she's talking about doing a retail cafe or, a sit-down cafe. And that brings life to a place. So these are all...
They shortened it, too. Just read an article about the obesity in this country is so rampant right now, and all there are, food this, food that, food that.
Yeah, but if it's the right food, like Jane, the backstory to Jane Carroll is that she was a pretty young woman, and she was running a flower shop, and then she had a fire, and she lost her flower shop, and then she had a heart attack, and it was a game-changing moment in her life, and she turned her attention toward making all these cookies that have natural ingredients and gluten-free. I mean, yes, it's still a cookie, but but we're moving in a direction where we're thinking about how to treat our bodies better.
All right.
I think that,
So you obviously this is up front and in this week, so not this week's because it's constantly being updated. Rockland County Business Journal.
Right. These were all
prominently displayed is what I meant. Huh?
Yeah, these are all last week's stories, and you can find them on rcbizjournal.com.
That's B-I-Z, RC Biz Journal. All right, Tina, you made me hungry now, but thanks anyway.
Okay, well, everybody have a terrific Christmas
You too, God
holiday.
bless. You too. Yes, ma'am.
Talk to